my friends, and thank you for taking this journey with me as we travel through all the Godzilla films leading up to Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019. Now we have the third film in the franchise on deck with the collision of the colossals. Yes, it is King Kong versus Godzilla. Once again, directed by Ishiro Honda. Here we have the story of a pharmaceutical company that's looking to boost its profits and its promotions, and they hear of a mysterious creature that lives on an island where there are some berries that have some pharmaceutical significance and could get them a little bit of cha-ching. So they decide to kill two birds with one stone, go get the berries and possibly this creature. Well, that creature ends up being King Kong, and they do capture him. And while on the boat back to Tokyo, we have Godzilla, who frees himself from his icy prison that he was put into at the end of Godzilla Raids Again, and he wreaks havoc across the country. King Kong escapes, and we see as it is Godzilla versus King Kong in a 2 out of 3 best of fight to the finish, or at least until one decides to go home. King Kong versus Godzilla, I will say, you could tell they took some time after Godzilla Raids Again and thought some things out, because I enjoyed this film a lot more than Godzilla Raids Again. I liked how the story played out better. It moves along a lot nicer. The editing and everything, the different location stuff, they just move things a lot better in this film. And it is interesting to see these two classic monsters clash. I thought it was surprising that RKO gave the licensing for Kong to Toho to do this, but we're glad we did, because we do get some really fun scenes in here. Now, as far as the performers go in here, everybody does well. And here we get Kinji Sahara again on here. This guy is in 12 Godzilla films, so we'll definitely be seeing Sahara again. He's got some on-screen charisma, and that's for sure. And you can see why he kept coming back for these films. And it was great to see him as the Kazu Fujita character. I really enjoyed his performance. Jun Tazaki plays General Masami Shinzo, and I really enjoyed the General's character as well, because this guy, he thought some things out. He wasn't just like, let's just shoot missile through Godzilla like crap through a goose. I mean, they put some planning into their trying to get countermeasures for Godzilla. And in this case, this time around, Godzilla really doesn't like high tension wires. Instead of walking through them, he tries to go around them. So I thought that was a bit of an interesting angle with it. As far as King Kong goes, they give him a little bit of extra juice in the way of him enjoying electricity. And we see how these two things do not go well together for Tokyo, and I enjoyed that. I loved that difference between these two. Now, as far as the King Kong suit goes, he looks goofy. He's supposed to look goofy, though, apparently. I was doing some reading up, and they wanted to make him not as intimidating as Godzilla, not as evil-looking, so they designed his suit a little bit more hokey, a little more, la-la-la, which it is evident in here, though the performer in the suit, I thought, did very well. It still is quite evident they tried to make him look different and not so menacing. Godzilla, on the other hand, I believe the suit is the Kinji suit, lot better improvement over the one in Raids Again. I like the suit in here, though it was a bit bulky. You could tell he had a little more definition, a little bit scarier. He was definitely scarier in this, I think, than in Raids Again. And yeah, I just liked the design of Godzilla quite a bit in this. Now, this is where we get Godzilla's most famous roar, which actually, I guess, reading up on it, it was a mix of his two original roars from 54, and they just sped it up a little bit, and pretty much his signature roar from then on, with a few tweaks as we get through the other eras, but still love that roar. It still raises the hairs on my arm because I love that sound so much. Now, this is also the first film where Godzilla uses the big pool, which is a pool that they use for all their water monster films from here on out, even up through, I guess, their last one they made, Final Wars. They used this big pool, and that's very impressive to use it that long. And yeah, it was great great. We get some great water effects and shots in here. I enjoyed all the miniatures they had in here, especially the artwork and the detail they put in there really is pretty amazing, just to have some guy in a suit knock it down. So love the artistic work in the miniatures that they had. And there's a fun scene in here where Godzilla and King Kong seem to be competing on who can smash down the building first, which I wouldn't be surprised if that gave some inspiration to Rampage, because there's a few other things in this film as well where I'm looking at going, wow, they put that in Rampage. So yeah, that's a fun scene. This is the third film for both creatures, and it's the first time they're in color as well for them. So a lot of firsts for these big guys in their big battle debut. Now this was also, and it's still, I guess, it holds true that this is the most attended Godzilla film in Japan out of all the Godzilla films, which is really damn impressive. But you can see why. I mean, these are two titled characters going, head to head. And yes, no, there is not two different endings. I watched both versions, the Japanese and the American version, which, if you get a chance, watch the Japanese version, far better. But the American version on Blu-ray looks fantastic. But there is not two endings, okay, folks? You don't have Godzilla winning in one and Kong in the other. Kong is always meant to win. Oh, spoiler, yeah, it's from 1964, folks, yeah. So there aren't the two mythical endings, which was pleasant to see, though you do get two versions of, I guess, the kind of the sound effects that are at the end of each of these two different versions of films. So there is that. Overall, this is a solid film. It's a lot of fun. Definitely moves along nicely, and I think it is worth a watch. You could, just to see these two classic characters together. Now, Toho does make another Kong film later on, King Kong Escapes, but that does not have the big G in it. So there you have it, folks. King Kong vs. Godzilla. Thank you for listening to me ramble about this very interesting and epic film. I appreciate your support, and until next time, remember, keep that ticket stub.